All right, so this is my first video I think I've ever recorded and actually putting it on YouTube. I'm a pretty private person, but I've come to a place in my life where I feel like I do have some experience to offer. I don't want to act like I know everything and anything, but when I look at the world around me, I think it's clear that it's changing rapidly. So I just want to offer my insight and maybe I can monetize it in the process. Um, but I'm just going to explain why I only lasted, let's see, I only lasted 4 days at Amazon. 4, maybe 5 days. My mind's a little hazy right now. I haven't smoked weed in like 10 days, so I'm having a little bit of withdrawals, but it kind of all ties together. So the only reason I left Amazon was because I kind of already had an experience in a warehouse already. So working in warehouses, if anybody has done that, you know it's extremely strenuous on the body. It can get the rap of being bad for your mental health, and those are very true. But I guess the reason I initially applied was because right now I'm doing Instacart. So Instacart is actually great for me. I get to have my own independence and freedom. I get to set my schedule. Like I said, I'm a private person. So prior to this, I was working in retail for a few years, actually in the cannabis space. So I was selling CBD, and then I was selling dispensary weed, in a medical and a recreational setting for a couple of dispensaries locally. And, that was what I was passionate about for about the last 10 years of my life, smoking weed. So that's besides the point. I'll make another video about that actually. So the main point here is related to Amazon. So I got burnt out of retail, just dealing with people nonstop, constantly, small talk. And then, if you have coworkers, in any setting, basically in any job, it can, for certain personality types, it can definitely weigh down on you, because for me, I'm not big on small talk. I can fake the funk. I'm really good at retail. I have good customer service skills. It's just something I've picked up. But just my personality type, I really am not like that. I like to talk about deeper subjects. I like to just have substance when I talk to people, which is why I have a pretty small circle. So I actually recently left the last dispensary I was working at about six. I worked there 6 months. Um, it was for a new startup, and it was for the same person that I worked for, who owned a CBD shop before that. And shit, what was I gonna say? So basically, I've been doing Instacart since then. I actually left a dispensary before that to go to that dispensary. So I went from like a huge cannabis dispensary that was very established, like multiple locations throughout the state I'm at, and very profitable. It was a medical dispensary. And then I left there because during COVID I got sick and I refused to take a COVID test. Oh shit, I can't say that. Okay, I refused to take a coffee test. I refused to take a coffee test. Shout out to Sam Hyde. And it was just part of the policy. I knew that they were probably gonna let me go anyway, so I just stopped going to work. And I probably did have it. I probably had the coffee, to be honest, because I felt like I was dying. It was the worst sickness I've ever had, created in some lab or something, clearly. But anyways, I left that job to go from a huge established dispensary to a small startup. And this was brand new. We were just like barely, like my state just went legal last year in April. So April of 2021, or I'm sorry, 2022. So it was very new to the state as far as the recreational cannabis goes. So it's like the Wild West. I had fun at first. We were just working nonstop overtime. And then eventually I got a little burnt out of that. I got burnt out of retail. I got burnt out of working out or working um, for somebody who I honestly didn't mesh with personality wise. And just being burnt out, I said, okay, I'm gonna go back to Instacart. So I went back to Instacart, and I've been doing that ever since. And honestly, it's actually really come around, if I can say that. Like I really do enjoy it sometimes. Just freedom. Like I want to start my own business, so it's actually perfect for me. And so I say all of that to bring me back to the original topic of Amazon. Um, if you've worked Instacart or any gig apps, you know that there's like slow times, especially when they hire a lot of new people, and pretty much around the holidays it gets really crazy, and then it drops off. And it's the same in a lot of jobs that are kind of like even in warehouses. They get super crazy during peak season, which is during the holidays when everybody's purchasing packages and gifts for their family. So it's kind of similar to that because people are using those gig app services a lot more often than when, throughout the year when it's a little bit more dead. So it kind of dropped off, and I've been going through some changes lately. I've just been making a lot of changes in my life, trying to improve myself. And I don't know why I got in my head. I was just like on Indeed one day and I saw, okay, Amazon package, or what is it? Amazon warehouse employee. And I swear I saw the schedule being 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Cherry, day shift, 4 hours. Like, that's really not that bad. I've worked in warehouses before. I've worked at USPS, the post office. I've worked at FedEx, and they both sucked. Like, some of the worst experiences I've had in a job were at those places because you're just a body, honestly. You're just there to move packages. Okay. So for me, I am pretty creative. I like to be creative. I like to think, I like to understand things. I like to get knowledge. So for those types of personalities, it's really not a good idea to work in a warehouse because um, your mind just is gonna go. You're gonna think a lot, and that's okay in some cases. Of course, you have time to think, but when you're moving thousands of pounds an hour at the same time, you're wearing down your body, and body and mind go together. So, and on top of that, you're gonna be lacking sleep. I was working full time at the post office, part time at FedEx, and that was years ago. Um, I'm 32, so I'm gonna be 33 this year. So that was actually in my mid 20s. Um, so I recently applied to Amazon, thinking, okay, well I can supplement my Instacart wages, my Instacart money. I can supplement that with another part-time job and maybe get some benefits or whatever. And I convinced myself that I would be able to do it and it'd be okay. Well, come to find out, the schedule I had misread, or I mean, maybe they do that on purpose. I'll take responsibility. I probably just looked at the schedule wrong. Um, but knowing Amazon, I wouldn't honestly put it past them to try to kind of reel people in by giving them a good schedule and being like, "Oops, we meant PM." So it was actually 8:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. So it's a night shift, and again, it's just part time. So I was just like thinking about it. I'm like, well, then I can still do that. So I actually went through. They set you up with a free pair of composite work shoes. They give you like $110 on Amazon or on Zappos through Amazon. They give you a code. And honestly, I'm not here to bash Amazon at all. I'm not here to bash anybody who works for Amazon. I'm not here to down people who are thinking about it. I'm just here to give you transparency, just my experience, and just from this personality type to others who may be in a similar situation or who have similar personality types. It might not be the best option for you, or it might be, so I just want to put this out there for everybody to learn from, because I even looked up some, other videos right before I quit after 4 days, just kind of like reaffirming what I was thinking. Like, okay, I should have looked at these videos before I did it, but it's all learning experience. And here I am recording on the GoPro I purchased to start making videos. So maybe that was the catalyst to say, okay, you have no other choice but to just start being creative and see what happens. So with that said, the whole onboarding process included getting the free pair of shoes, the most boring training videos you can imagine, just especially when you're showing up at 8:30 at night and then you have to go sit in a freezing cold room in the warehouse, and they probably keep it freezing cold to try to keep you awake. But it was still hard to stay awake. And just the whole atmosphere of any warehouse, not just Amazon, is very depressing, to be honest. You have artificial lighting throughout the entire warehouse, no sunlight. And on top of no sunlight, if you're working at night, you're getting exposed to that high power LED, and it's really not good for the body. It's not good for the circadian rhythm. And I knew that going into it. I knew all of this going into it. And that's why I quit after 4 days. I knew right away. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste their time, even though I kind of already did. But hey, I got an experience out of it, and I'm making a video out of it. So hopefully that can turn it into something. Dang, I keep saying, bear with me, guys. It's my first video, but if you're still watching, I appreciate you. Anyways, what else did they give us? They gave us the shoes. You get a vest. You get a little, what's it called? Plastic wrap cutter, because you're just wrapping pallets all night. You get another cutter that's separate to cut cardboard. You have like little lanyards and stuff to hold your gloves. You get some gloves. So, Amazon does go the extra mile in terms of PPE, personal protective equipment. My experience at the post office was not like that. They kind of just throw you to the wolves there. The post office is so disorganized compared to Amazon. I'll give Amazon that. They're on point. Of course, that's the difference between a private company and like a quasi-government company. And FedEx, is kind of similar to the post office. And I think FedEx has changed, and I think they pay more now. But FedEx was horrible pay. I was making $11 an hour, 10 or $11 an hour to start. That was part-time. I left FedEx to go to the post office, and they were offering like $14.70 an hour. And that was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. So back then it was good. And I went from part-time to full-time, and I ended up hurting my back. So it wasn't a smart move because I like to work out. So at that time I was actually like into bodybuilding. So being into bodybuilding and working at a warehouse full time, sometimes 12 hours a night, sometimes 6 nights a week, it definitely takes a toll. And I was able to get through that by just being young, honestly. And that's why I'm here to share this experience, because now that I'm older, you really feel the consequences of your actions through your 20s. Once you hit that early 30s stage and start to hit mid 30s, you really start to feel it, physically, everything you did, whether it was drugs, whether it was toiling away at a job, whether it was, just whatever, anything physical, mental stress, whatever you go through. When you're going through it when you're young, you don't really feel it. You got that vitality on your side. But when you're older, I'm gonna shift the camera, I got the sunlight hitting me. But when you're older, you definitely feel it. And that's where I'm at in life right now. I'm really trying to preserve myself. I'm really trying to use my time wisely. And so I say all that to say, Amazon, they actually, if you're thinking about doing it and you're coming from a job that was horrible, like let's say you're working at waste management, sifting through sewage infested trash. There's people that are doing that. And if Amazon's better compared to that, then by all means, go for it. You know what I mean? Because it's a company. It's almost $1 trillion company now. So if you're trying to get plugged into a solid, consistent job, or if you're in school, they have part-time options. I'm not here, like I said, I'm not here to bash it. Go for it. And if you're young, go for it. All I can say is take care of yourself. Stay hydrated, eat properly, get enough sleep, even though it may be sleeping in the daytime. Try to get enough sleep. Maybe get some blackout covers for the windows or whatever, or whatever, cover your eyes. Go the extra mile to take care of yourself. I didn't do that. I was trying to live my life and do whatever I wanted while also working that job, and it just doesn't work like that. You have to commit, and that's why I say I hurt myself, because I was going to the gym, doing heavy squats, heavy bench, heavy body lifting compound movements, and then going to my job at night, pulling 3,000-pound containers, bending, twisting, everything, for 12 hours. So that was very foolish on my part. With that said, what else did I experience at Amazon? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's a bunch of machinery. There's packages everywhere. There's docks everywhere for all the trucks to transport the packages. It's a huge warehouse. One thing that people complain about is, since the warehouse is so big, you basically spend 5 minutes walking to your break, and your break is only 15 minutes. So, and on top of that, you got to use the restroom or you got to eat something. You only got 15 minutes. including walking distance. Now I got lucky. The one I was at was actually a little bit smaller. We were right next to one that was like maybe 3 times its size if I had to judge by looking at it. And those are probably the ones you hear the horror stories about, of like, yeah, you waste your whole break walking. So I kind of got lucky, and some people may say I'm a pussy or that I'm weak for not taking it. It's like, no, I know at this point what I want out of life. Um, Maybe it was a mistake to apply. Like I said, I initially thought the schedule was daytime, but I think ultimately it was just that had to happen for me to say, okay, I just have to go all in on creative things like YouTube. I like to make music or produce music, like make beats and stuff. I don't put all my weight on those things because now I see as an older person, like, you can waste your time following your passions. And that's not a popular opinion nowadays, because people are always saying, oh, you got to follow your heart, you got to follow your passions. Well, guess what? I did that. And sometimes your passions are misguided. I'll say that, because one of my other passions was cannabis. And I don't want to say I wasted time on it, but when you're doing drugs, you are essentially wasting time, because you're creating a mental space that says you're great, it's fine, you're good, you feel good. Oh, you don't have enough money in the bank account, it's okay, you could just get high and you'll feel better. Or if you're procrastinating or whatever, you'll smoke and you're like, oh, it's fine, you'll just kind of blow it off. So it's easy to waste a lot of time like that. And so I figured I would start my channel based on all my experience. Up until this point, I used to say, oh man, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to make beats, I'm going to put music out, I'm going to buy a camera and I'm going to make videos and get creative, or I'm going to grow equipment and grow cannabis and become an expert cannabis grower. And I actually did all those things, and I actually pursued being an actor at one point. We have a film industry where I'm at. I'm in New Mexico, and it's actually pretty easy to get into background work here and work your way up from there if you're really passionate about it. I discovered that wasn't for me. I don't want to be an agent of the Matrix, as Andrew Tate would say. And I have plenty of video. I can't wait to share all my experiences with you guys, because I have so many experiences from the film industry that I believe people will appreciate from my perspective. I have experience, again, in the cannabis industry. I have experience in a church. I grew up in a church. My stepfather, prior stepfather and mother were pastors for a while, for a long time, for a large part of my upbringing. So I think I have a unique experience to share with people. I think this video is going off on a tangent, but I really don't care. This is my introduction, and I feel like I'm just kind of going through it. And the title of the video is probably going to say why I only lasted a few days at Amazon, but it's going to go into all of these other subjects. And if you think this is interesting, I just hope that you follow along, and maybe I can turn this into something, and let my creativity do its thing, So ultimately, I quit after 4 days. The cool thing about Amazon is they probably know, with such a high turnover, they're just like, okay, make an app, their A to Z app, you can just go resign. They sent me a letter saying they terminated me because the way I resigned, I actually said I was going to show up that last day, and I didn't. So if you don't show up, you're terminated. I don't care. It's fine. I'm doing Instacart again, and now I'm going to start doing this. So I'm not mad about it. If anything, like I said, I went through all of that to share it in this video. So I can't really think of anything else. One thing that stuck out to me from another video, that somebody who was talking about a warehouse job, is one of the roles that they have in a warehouse is called a picker, and the gentleman related that to slavery, and it just clicked in me. I was like, wow, that's actually very true. If you really think about it on a deeper level, on a subconscious level, you go to a warehouse to slave away and you're just a robot, and they don't really care about you. You're easily replaceable. They say they don't want you to get hurt, but honestly, working at a warehouse, doing that type of work, it's inevitable. You're going to get hurt at some point, whether it's a minor ache and pain or whether it's spinal issues, which for me, that's what happened. it can get very serious on the body, you know. So it's definitely not worth it for me. If you are doing it and it's worth it for you, I'm not trying to discourage you. I would just encourage you to take care of yourself, treat yourself well, and if the job is not treating you well, you know, create a plan, an exit plan, you know, whether it's going back to school, doing something else, you know, just get your money and leave, honestly, because that's what the company does to us. You know, Amazon is one of the most profitable companies on the planet, you know, and I was starting this job at 15.50 an hour, which I can easily make at Instacart. I can easily make more than that on Instacart. And some on very slow days, I might make less, but it's worth it to me because the trade-off is freedom, time, which is the most valuable asset that we have on this planet, and just peace of mind. You know, I'm kind of paving my own path, if you will. So it's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else to say. But like I said, I'm going to make a lot more videos sharing different experiences. I was going to experiment with streaming, but I didn't realize you have to have a certain amount of subscribers to stream. So if you would like to subscribe to me, I would definitely appreciate that. I feel like I do have an audience out there, maybe that would be interested in what I'm talking about. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing well, whoever sees this, and I'll come back with some more content for you guys. I appreciate you, and take care.